Hello, welcome to Umbrella-press, where we're talking about media under the umbrella. I'm Maria,
And I'm Harry.
and we're here to talk about a very important subject to us today. We're going to talk about
Heteronormativity.
the straights. Yes, or the prevalence of heterosexual relationships and heterosexuality as the norm in media, which we've been talking about a lot in the last few minutes. We've noticed that a lot of the shows we used to watch and still watch today are very focused on heterosexual relationships, even when they're not really necessary. So we're gonna talk about a few shows that we feel like good examples, and probably rant a little bit.
We're going to start by laying down some beats, giving you some intellectual framework, maybe some definitions.
Yeah, why not?
So, Maria, what is heteronormativity?
In in my general definition, I would say that heteronormativity is the idea that heterosexuality is the norm for all people and should be like the standard for sexuality. So let's say that I'm gay. I would be, if someone thought that I was straight automatically, it'd be an example of heteronormativity because it's kind of seen as the default. And that's not chill. And I personally don't like it. I don't think Harry does either. Lots of people don't. It's really
So
harmful.
sorry if you heard me screwing my bottle. We can sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We have we have beverages. It's fine.
Heteronormativity is, the proverbial grandma at your Thanksgiving dinner asking if you've met a boy yet at college.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I don't know.
Oh, grandma.
Grandma. Is that what you go to college for?
Yeah.
It brings expectations about sexuality, expectations about romantic orientations, expectations about gender. It immediately presents binary genders as the absolute truth.
Yeah. And that the idea that every relationship has to have two genders that are opposites. I say opposites in quotes.
It's also the reason why you hear the who's the man and who's the woman thing, which
boy.
we hate, which everyone should hate.
Yeah, and just that phrase in general is saying that that's the only way people can conceptualize relationships, and that's not always the way they happen. In fact, it's not usually the way they happen.
Yeah, right.
Lots of people fall under heteronormativity, but a lot of them don't express it in the same ways that other people do, or the way that people expect you to. So heteronormativity is negative for pretty much everyone, doesn't just affect certain groups of people, kind of affects us all.
Yeah. As someone who spent a very long time in high school being told I should be in a relationship with this gay guy that I hung out with, and I was aromantic, and they were just so wrong.
I feel that doesn't make any sense on multiple levels.
That was you know who this is, but oh man, it was just always so weird because neither of us were really super out, and I didn't even have a word for being aromantic. I was just I hate relationships and I hate romance, and some of my teachers would laugh at me when I got into that attitude, because they like to talk about romance novels with other students, and I was can we stop? I'm bored. I don't like this. I'm a baby and I hate your straights.
Oh my God. God bless. Yeah, it was also a problem for me growing up, especially in middle school. My group of friends, who I love dearly, were very interested in dating and stuff, and I finally kind of felt I had to be in that position as well, and I didn't really want to be, and I didn't want to be pursuing the same people that they were pursuing, and I'm just am I weird? What's going on? And I kind of just realized that they were focused on going along with the standard of how people are supposed to be in relationships based on heteronormative views. And I'm I don't want to do that. And I think it's harmful for people to say that that's the way things should be. Not cool. But also I think a lot of pressure on people for as far as heteronormativity goes is media. I can't say heteronormativity slowly.
Heteronormativity.
Heteronormativity. Hetero.
I just
Normativity.
spilled, please future me edit this out, but I just spilled so much water on myself. Like, I hope I can edit out the bottle spilling too.
Oh my
I'm
God.
gonna try to get rid of all like evidence that I had a bottle of water in the radio studio.
Jesus Christ.
But I am like soaking wet.
Do you want like a tissue or something?
Speaking of soaking wet, does a fish know it's wet? Heteronormativity is the water.
Yes, yes.
And
Using media
straight
concepts to
people
apply to sexuality.
Kind of don't. But if you are straight and you do align with that, you're not like able to see how it can affect other people negatively. Even like people who are like straight and women or straight and men, they don't understand how it presents toxic gender norms as well. And they're sort of like, oh yeah, of course it's supposed to be like this. Of course I'm like supposed to joke that like you're supposed to have that shirt that's like a picture of you and like a girl getting married with game over
Jesus.
it. That's heteronormativity too.
Exactly.
It's like the idea that like
that getting married to a person of the opposite sex I say in loose terms, is inevitable and can't be avoided. And that's
and it's bad
weird.
if you're a guy.
Yeah, it's like your life is definitely over, and
then getting married is supposed to be the best thing ever if you're a girl.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Which is
God.
like, what does that say about relationships between genders? And like all genders don't have a great time with this because, you know.
Yeah, because like if you don't fall under like cis male, cis woman, like what are you supposed to do? Like I feel like you're kind of like you're like set to a standard that you cannot comply with and that you don't really want to comply with. But there's a lot of pressures outside that are like saying like you gotta do this. And you're like no. And I feel like a lot of those pressures, like I said, get like set in media, especially media that I like watched growing up. Because like I feel like especially like I watch media now and I think about it in a different way because I've like been a communications student and I like have more like able to be able to like critically
My
analyze
brain is
things.
automatically set to social justice riff when I'm like watching a show.
Yeah, exactly. And like couldn't say the same for myself when I was younger. So a lot of those messages got through to me much more easily. So like what's a good example of heteronormativity in the media? What do you want to talk about first? There's so many.
There is like it's like everything and everywhere.
It's
Okay.
upsetting.
Do you want to start with something from maybe when we were younger and then build up to some other stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe do some comparison or something like that?
Recently we're talking about Nickelodeon shows that were on in like early late 2000s, like Rob Schneider stuff, where I mean like there's lots of like shows where like everyone like has to be in a relationship. But I think those are like a good example of like children's media that are very focused on romance, and like not even in like a fun way at times.
It's actually kind of creepy sometimes.
Yeah, we were talking about Drake and Josh.
Like I definitely don't know if I'll be able to go back and watch Drake and Josh and have as much fun as I did when I was a kid, just because like some of the weird like dating stuff in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like the character Drake is like always dating a girl, but treats them like sort of like objects all the time, and doesn't really care about their personalities. Basically, they just wants like arm candy all the time, and it's like disappointing because you like this character because he's funny, and like.
And then there's the episode where like because you're supposed to be like Josh doesn't feel like this. Josh will lance it, and he'll be like, well, no, treat girls with respect. But then there was like the episode where they had the dating contest. And he got into that thing too. And it was supposed to be about like Drake learning to like really care about like this other girl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
the girl from the music store.
Yeah. And like Drake was like trying to like having like a genuine relationship with someone, but like then like Josh was like kind of feeding into that pressure that his brother put him under and was like, I want to date as many girls as possible and more than you can. And so like treating like dating girls as like a contest.
Yeah, because they had other.
Messed up.
It's like they had episodes about competition that were like really funny, like the
Yeah.
candy bet, like the candy versus like you,
Yeah.
like you can't eat junk food, I can't play video games episode, which was really funny
Yeah.
and was like
Because like such like in the whole show, it's like they're opposites, but like it's funny when they try to like compete in different ways. But that way, it was at the expense of other people, and so it
Yeah.
was kind of like it was cruel in a way.
it was like real weird, like and she
So-
got like legitimately upset, like the girl Drake was trying to date got legitimately upset.
Yeah.
And he was like, but it's okay, even though I'm always like this, it's okay because I'm not going to be like this now, even though
Yeah.
we also never see her again. Even like, he's like, I promise I'll like give up my player ways. And he's like, no, she never shows up again.
No, and honestly, like good for her. Like, who would want to date someone who doesn't respect women that much? Like, I mean, he can just be like, oh, I won't be like this now, but those behaviors are still like set in him, and it's not going to be like that easy to just like suddenly understand that like women are people and deserve to be respected. Like that's kind of a thing that you kind of don't do overnight, but I wish you could.
Another like trope about that comes into heteronormativity that shows up in Drake and Josh. That's a really common one. It's actually on the Josh side, which is the like animosity as romance.
Oh,
Like-
yeah, with Josh and Mindy.
Yeah.
They're really competitive over grades at school, but they end up being in a relationship.
Like it would be like there's some levels if they were competitive and then they had to like work together and then they realized they really liked each other, but it's like always in the context of them fighting each other even outside of school.
Yeah, they're very like they kind of just like antagonize each other, to the point where like you're like, oh, these people like probably should just stay apart and like not even talk, but then they end up like dating, and like they kind of like use their like anger to each other to like fuel their romance, which is like weird and doesn't seem like a fun relationship to be in. But they're kind of seen as like the canon Josh relationship, though, you know, like they're like
Josh
endgame.
Endgame.
Like endgame.
There's no Drake Endgame, but there is
Yeah.
Josh Endgame.
Exactly. So it's really weird because you think, like you said before, you'd think that Josh would be the one to like step in and be like, "Hey, dude, brother, like what you're doing isn't cool." But he does similarly bad things, but still thinks that he's superior.
Yeah.
Which
I
is-
also can't tell if there's a lot of weird stuff to unpack as far as like Josh and gender too, because like then like there's like Mindy as aggressive and like Josh is like quote unquote girly and sort of like being really into romancing her and being like, I have to get her presents and I have to like Josh is also seen to be like into like traditional romance, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
But it is usually a joke. Like literally the like dress thing in the first episode.
Oh my God!
And
Yes.
it's like from the get-go there was like a lot of jokes like Josh likes a feminine thing, Josh likes to take bubble baths, like and this is funny.
Yeah. I'm thinking about back to the first episode where like Josh like has like a persona, like for the advice column that he writes for the school paper, and he feels like he needs to wear a dress and a wig to feel like he's into this like womanly character, and I'm just like, why can't Josh as a guy give advice to people?
Like
And like I don't know why they chose that as a like thing to express
And, like,
gender stuff.
if they wanted to have like Josh express gender, it's like super duper weird because it's like the getting caught wearing a dress and Drake like flips his shit.
Yeah, Drake is
swearing,
like
I'm
so
sorry.
weird about it. Like, and they didn't even know each other at that point, so it's just like, it's a weird place to start
It's
out.
a really
Definitely.
weird place to start. that whole Drake and Josh is weird retrospectively.
It really is, and you don't think of it as weird, but like, and
Oh.
it just like,
Can we talk about SETI? No, we're not gonna
Yes!
talk about SETI again.
I'm ready to talk about SETI anytime. We both watched iCarly when it was on, and there was a really prominent like ship in that show between Sam and Freddie. I don't know if you actually want to talk about this, but I'm
I'm
always
not
ready
gonna.
to
I'm gonna
fight.
talk for real fast because like Freddie also like it also falls into this like we're going to try to comedically subvert heteronormativity by creating a more feminine, safety-oriented, like careful dude character and a rough and rowdy girl character, and that's
Yeah.
fine to have those as contrasts and have them interact and have that be fun because we need more like characters that are on those levels, because you don't get
Yeah.
to see them and you don't get to see them positively, but you can tell that it's just because it's funny, and it's like funny, and it's like they're supposed to balance each other out and like be the like reverse of, like they're still performing heteronormativity, but
Yeah.
it's supposed to be flipped.
Yeah, so they're just like thinking that like, oh, we're being like different and not like using the usual tropes, but you created your own trope that's still negative. So nice try.
And
but
like says bad things about like masculine girls and like
Yeah.
feminine boys.
yeah, and I feel like the things like Freddie does like aren't even like traits that like should be deemed feminine.
Right.
Like,
Like he's just clean, right?
yeah,
Like, he's
he
just,
likes
like, a
he likes
nervous-
structure. I don't know. He's like passionate about what he likes, and like that's like
And like yeah,
could
him
describe
being
anyone.
like him being like shut down by Sam is like supposed to be funny.
yeah,
It's like the same thing with like
and shut down by Carly. Like, oh, I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like I don't understand like Carly and Freddie together. Like, I think both ships are really bad, and I don't like either of them. And
I don't
think at
even
the
think they
end,
should be
don't
friends,
work.
honestly.
Yeah, why are they all friends? They don't seem to like hanging out. Like maybe Carly and Sam sometimes, but I feel like anyway, I'm not getting into
Anyway.
the friendships in iCarly. Basically,
Not getting into iCarly at all.
also, I think we've talked about in the past, like, the character Spencer on iCarly, being like a very like most of his episodes are focused on like him being like quirky and like liking art and like doing fun stuff at like their house. But like there's also episodes where like suddenly he's just like, I want to date people, and then he like dates someone and like doesn't really seem like he cares about them, but like he's still like, you're hot, let's go out. And I'm like, what? And there's also an episode where he invites Freddie, who's like a 13-year-old boy, on a date with him and like another like 30-something.
I totally
And they have like a
forgot
double
this.
date, and
That's so uncomfortable.
it's so weird.
That's like borderline creepy.
It is, and I feel like it's like weird because like Spencer's like, okay, I'm gonna teach you how to like flirt with women, and like it's like this kid Freddie is a baby, and he doesn't need to be taught like all these like heteronormative like
Yo, Freddie
relationship
Benson, he
structures.
was just 13.
Oh my god, but like it was so strange, and it seemed very forced and uncomfortable, but it was played off as being like normal, so like weird. I don't understand Rob Schneider.
Right.
And also we talked about just like a few minutes ago we talked about Zoe 101 and how characters are like we're all paired off on that show. Of course Zoe and Chase, like the main characters, like had like a will they won't they thing for like the whole show, so like that's something. I'm not even gonna touch that because that's like it just I don't know. Not super interesting, but there's also the character of Quinn, who's like very extremely intelligent, not super great with social skills, but really has a good heart and like really wants to like be there for her friends. And then Logan, who's like the rich, snobby, like elitist kid who like secretly likes science, and like they kind of get together at the end and like kind of hate each other the whole way. So you're like, why? But also they write it in a way that I kind of like it though. Because like all of a sudden like Logan likes science, and he's like been doing chemistry since he was like a little kid. So like they made it like kind of seem like it would work, but it still happened. So suddenly you're just like, that was definitely not planned at the beginning of the series.
You're
It's like,
all right.
It's like people are still single. We gotta put them together, and like there's no like concept of like one person like being like not dating anyone. Like even Michael finds someone to date, and like. And Lola does too.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah, like everyone gets paired off. And
Whoa.
that happens in a lot of shows, like not even kids shows. Like we were talking about Parks and Recreation, show that I love to death. So fun. So positive.
Very funny, very it's just really friendly too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a good show to watch, but like, wow.
Like it gives you like warm fuzzies, but also you're like, everyone on the show is heterosexual, and everyone ends up in a relationship at the end. No, I don't want to spoil, but everyone ends up in a relationship.
And it's like definitely like in unexpected ways that feel unnatural with some of their characters.
Definitely.
There's some elements of that. We won't spoil, no worries.
Yeah, but like it's just disappointing because I feel like there were so many characters who like were doing fine, but they needed to like add a romance literally in like the last like season and a half of the show. So it wasn't something that had been building over time or anything. It was just very sudden. It's like, oh, this person needs to be with someone else because otherwise they won't be happy, and the viewers will think that they're not happy and that they're alone and sad. And like that's not true. Like if you think about Donna Meagle, who I adore, she's a very like she loves being independent. She's very like a solitary person, and just like is very like confident with being alone and like enjoying her time and like socializing when she wants to and doing things on her terms. Really cool. But she like she like ends up being in a serious committed relationship when that's not really her style throughout the entire show, and that's shown like as like all that time she was just like scared of commitment when really she was just seemed like she was having a fun time.
No, she was having fun.
Yeah, and that's like what's important.
I think eventually I want to get to how heteronormativity tries to make it so homosocial relationships don't be homosexual relationships. So we're gonna have to talk about that in a little bit. Yeah. I want to talk about also like those weird slow burn heterosexual romances where like the audience is supposed to want them to be together so bad.
Yeah.
And like the people who write the show are like they're never getting together. And it's the Mulder and Scully thing. Like one of the rules when they started the show was that the show will be over if Scully sees an alien or kisses Mulder.
Oh my god.
That's like literally their rule.
That's like honestly kind of nice.
Which I like setting those bars. I think that they do write it that they're romantically interested in each other. I haven't gotten really, really far in it. But they do have like a really, I would like it a little more if they weren't, because they have a really deep connection and they are like people who really, really care about each other. And it's actually like really amazing, and how they like interact with like the weirdness of the world. And how, like, maybe, like, Scully doesn't believe in this stuff, but she's, like, gonna be there for this person that she's made, like, a really genuine connection with. And that's kind of better. Like, everyone's, like, clamoring for them to get together in the reboot series, and I'm like, no! No, I just want them to be, like, close to each other. They don't have to be, like, making out. They could even be in like a weird platonic romantic relationship, and I feel like people would still be mad if they weren't banging.
Oh my god. No, I feel like that's so important to think about, because like you have to think about like why people feel like they should be together. Like it's not just because like, oh, I want them to be in a relationship, because I think that's what they want. It's like they have to be in a relationship because that's the way things are.
He was a conspiracy theorist. She was a scientist. Can I make it any more obvious?
Oh my god. Yeah, it's like
Skater Boys, like the heteronormativity theme song.
No, that's so true. Talk about Avril for a little bit. Oh my god, that counts as media. But like, oh my god, that's
heteronormativity in music is real. Keep going.
Oh, but yeah, that like could be a whole nother podcast, honestly. But I just deep sighing.
Oh man,
from like the Theumbrellapress cast. Yeah, but like, I have so many examples of like TV shows where there was like a will they won't they relationship, and they got together, and then the show like died and like plummeted because they're like, what do we do now? That was the whole show.
They just don't know what to do besides have them stare at each other.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. I haven't watched this in a while, but it
Hetero
happened
baiting.
with. Yes, yes. I'm thinking about New Girl, the show with Zooey Deschanel. It's funny sometimes. Too much. There's romance to be excessive, kind of. Anyway, but the main characters, Jess and Nick, have like a will they won't they from the beginning of the show. They get together, and then like the writers are just like, what's happening? What? And
what
they're
do we
like,
do?
there's like fluffy romance for like one episode, and then they're just like, But I think they did an okay thing because like they realized that like their relationship would not work and they're too different, and then they just like split ways. But now they're just kind of like, it's just kind of weird. Like it didn't need to happen like that, and it didn't need to happen so soon.
Just got themselves out.
They were like, what the fuck? I think there was like so much pressure from like fans like for like them to get together sooner rather than later. And it's like, why are people so focused on this? And it's for a reason, and it's because of heteronormativity.
Guys, just let a show have a show. I thought a really good. I actually recently was up really late, and the Disney Channel was on, as happens in my home over vacation. And I saw some reruns of That's So Raven, and there was actually like a really good episode dealing with like the idea that there's like a pressure for people to be in relationships and how it interacts with their friendships. I don't know what the episode's called, but it's the one where there's like a match system in the school, and Raven and Eddie get matched. And it's really like really nicely written.
Ship.
Like luckily it wasn't like about them being together for the most part, but they had like really good conversations about like, if we're together, how is this going to make us feel? How is this going to affect who we are as people? Is this going to make our relationship to each other different? And it was actually like really thoughtful in a lot of ways.
That's good. I want to see this. I don't remember the episode.
And I think there were some parts where like, we could be straight about this, and I was like,
You're like, do you have to? It's fine. No, but that's really cool. It actually happened on Girl Meets World, which I've talked to you about before. But Girl Meets World started out the show with having like a default like male like love interest, because it was kind of set up the same way as Boy Meets World. They're just basically starting over again. Next generation of Boy Meets World. But so there was like a set default like romantic interest, but then like they like kiss one time, and then they're just like everyone in school is like date, and they're like, what? And like literally there's a scene where the whole school's like crowding them, and they're just like and they try to go on a date, and like oh god, no, yeah,
that's real.
Oh
toxic.
my god,
talk about like literally like characters that are like 8 and 12. Like, with enforced heterosexuality.
Yeah, but like older people, it's weird.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
No, it's okay. But like in Girl Meets World, it's just it's interesting because they like start like trying to date, but they're just like, they can't even talk to each other anymore because they feel so awkward. And we're just like, they're like, I feel awkward. And like, and they're just like, someone tells them just like, are you interested in dating this boy? And she's like, I don't know. I just liked when we were friends. And they're just like, well, just go back to that. And she's like, oh, I guess I can.
That's a good idea.
And then they kind of do, and like everyone's like a little disappointed, but they're just like, whatever. Yeah. And like everyone gets over it, and it's okay.
And then on the exact opposite end of that spectrum is The Hand That Rocks the Mabel, with the idea that like this kid now becomes like the sworn enemy of this family because, quote unquote, they won't let him date the girl he loves.
Oh my god,
and he becomes sort of like creepy and obsessive, and is like, it becomes one of the most uncomfortable things in the entire series.
Yeah, we're talking about Gravity Falls.
Sorry about Gravity Falls. I cited the exact episode, but not the series.
Oh my god. But like it's the character of Gideon's like obsessive crush on Mabel, which is gross because it's very obsessive and possessive. And I don't understand.
They tried to like absolve him recently, and I like disliked it a lot. Like it was not good character writing.
I caught up, so we can talk.
We can talk about this. Gravity Falls spoilers.
Warning: Gravity Falls spoilers. But yeah, like they try to like redeem him for his past actions, and it's like he did the right thing, but that doesn't excuse him for his like stalkerish and gross behavior.
In question is really uncomfortable because it doesn't involve Mabel at all.
True.
It's like Dipper being like, I know what it's like to have an unreciprocated crush. I know what man pain is like.
It was like
Little
man
Gideon,
to man.
you have to set her free.
But it's like Mabel said that he wouldn't take her seriously because he never took her feelings seriously when she tried to voice them.
Because you're not supposed to take girls seriously when they say they're uncomfortable with being in a relationship with you.
Yep. But he'll listen to this shrimpy little kid who wasn't even dating his love interest and had an obsessive crush on her as well. So it's like obsessive to obsessive, talking about how not to be obsessive anymore.
I thought they were gonna drop the Dipper Wendy thing, and they just keep not dropping it, and it makes me madder every time they don't drop it.
I had hope.
Because the roadside attraction was a great place to finally let it go. Dipper dated a bunch of girls in that episode, realized that was not what made him feel comfortable.
That was nice, though. That part was nice.
That was really nice. That was... I wrote an essay on this for class, so I've like broken this all down. It's like nice to have a viewpoint character be like the nasty old man is like teaching him like, you gotta get all these girls, you gotta not care about any of them, don't even try to be friends, just like hit on them and run.
Yeah, and and just like forget their names afterwards, and the Dipper's like, And Stan's
I think
like,
girls should be treated
do
like
it.
people, Stan. And Stan's like,
yeah.
it actually comes to the end where you kind of get this like toxic heteronormativity admission from Grunkle Stan,
Yeah.
who is like their authority figure, and he's like, hey, I like don't know how to be in a relationship, and I've been like taught a lot of bad things, and what I do isn't right, and I literally have a failed marriage because of this.
Yeah. It's kind of like, that's like good thing to see, like someone admitting that they're not doing the right thing, and that like, I wish he wouldn't have given Dipper the advice in the first place, but at least he got it out. And then he like totally gets like freaked up by like this lady who's like, I literally feed on men trying to use me, and it does not work. And anyone who tries to mess with me like literally gets eaten.
Spider Darlene.
Yeah, she's
like a spider person, and
Yeah.
she's like eats men who come to her attraction.
yeah.
Because she's like ridiculous.
Yeah, because that's when like she like disguises herself as like a
Okay.
stereotypically beautiful woman, and like she's like kind of like, I don't know, she like uses like men as bait because like they're always like, trying to hit on her, and she's
As
like,
long
nah.
as there's men like you,
Yeah,
I'll never. What is it? I'll never.
I'll never go hungry. Or
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
It's a good line. Like she really brought the point home. There's always something to me whenever like they try to make Stan like a womanizer because he's supposed to be like a gross person. It always feels really out of character personally.
I agree. I feel
like it's the same thing with like when Seuss is supposed to be like really into girls, and I'm like, Seuss is Pan and Ace, which is like gets into headcanon territory. But like
I wouldn't even have thought about them interacting with women if they hadn't brought it in.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem like it flows naturally.
Because like Stan can have his like ridiculous over the top crime grandpa persona without having to have like that weird womanizing angle.
Yeah. I agree that I kind of just try to make him like more like nasty old man, but you know that he has like a good heart, so you're just like, this doesn't seem like a Stan thing to do, because like Stan might like steal from people, steal people's wallets, but he's not like using people.
He may steal
know?
from people's wallets, but he doesn't steal from their hearts.
Oh my god, that was brilliant. But it's true. Oh my god.
I think they've done a really good job of building a character that's sort of like lovable in a really disgusting way.
Yeah.
And I just like, and when he like makes fun of women, like in the election episode, he was like, the women of Gravity Falls wear too much makeup.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's like not necessary. Like, why would Stan even notice that?
Why would he care?
I feel like he's like his own little world, you know? Like, I feel like he wouldn't think about it. But maybe that's just like, I don't know.
I don't know. It's like weird with like also characters who like aren't in relationships or haven't been in them for a really long time. Cause like there's like an opportunity to just have this person be like sort of aromantic or like be involved or have like an old relationship that they like or be like demi or something like that. But it's kind of like,
It's like the default that they're like
it's like
actively being interested in pursuing heterosexual relationships
gotta be straight because
or
of
interactions.
this persona. Like it's like necessary. All right, time for. Is it homosocial or homosexual? You've been waiting for this all day.
I'm like ready to fight.
I was gonna try to get that on Girl Meets World, but I like gently tapered off into Gravity Falls for like 5 minutes.
It's okay. I feel like there's literally so many shows that I like where that happens, and it bothers me to no end. My first example that I'm thinking of right now is because we were talking about Parks and Rec earlier.
So what
and Leslie.
So like first what we're talking about is like you should probably know what homosocial means, but it's like relationships that are like friendly or platonic or social between like the same gender, and there's often this idea that they have to avoid them being possibly into each other. There's like the fear that they're
like
gonna be gay.
Homo.
It actually happens a lot with girl characters, a lot more than people think it does. Because they're allowed to express a lot of affection to each other. How many? I cannot count how many times I've seen like two girl characters on the Disney Channel like say "I love you" to each other.
Yes,
way more than I've seen girl characters say to boy characters "I love you."
Exactly. And like, of course, we like understand that there's like platonic friendships that exist. Duh. But like, I feel like when they eliminate even the option of them being interested in each other romantically, like that's like just like
Hi.
it seems unnatural, and they're just like,
Word
I love
from
you so much, you're
your-
my favorite person in this whole entire world, but that doesn't mean
No
I'm
homo,
gay.
lol.
Like, yeah, it's like
XD, no homo.
oh my god, it's just so ridiculous. Like, in Parks and Rec, Anne and Leslie literally they okay, so Anne wants to have a baby, and she goes to like her gynecologist, and they like. And they're just, she's like, oh, are you guys a couple? And Leslie literally says, no, we are tragically heterosexual. And it's like, that's okay. They're two heterosexual people who are friends and very close. But it's like saying, oh, the idea of us being in a relationship is out of the question. And unfortunately, we can only be straight because this is Parks and Recreation.
It's like the idea that like straight people hate being straight. Like they're like straight women
Oh,
are
that
in
too.
comedy are expected to always talk about how they hate men and they hate relationships with men.
Yeah.
And there's like the idea that there is this underlying aggression in all heterosexual relationships, which we
Yeah.
talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Too, when we talked about the aggression as romance trope.
Yeah, but it's like it's so prominent though, in so many shows for people to be upset about heteronormativity but still perpetuate it, you know, and they don't even see it as something that can be changed.
And they're not even
or
like
helped.
an informed type of straight person who is like, I see these power structures in heterosexual relationships and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be like here for like being, you know,
Yeah, those like people like aren't really aware
being
that
able to
there's-
read against, to have a negotiated reading of their own sexuality.
Yeah, and are like offended when people are trying to like understand their sexuality because they're just like, of course this is it, and this is I'm following this pattern, and you know if I don't, then what the heck else am I supposed to do?
Tragically, we are heterosexual. It's a good quote.
So today we talked a lot about heteronormativity and how it's really damaging to people, and it shouldn't really be a thing anymore. So we hope you enjoyed this episode of Umbrella Press podcast. You can find our other podcasts on YouTube as well as videos from us. We're going to be making some more soon, and we're
That's
super
on-
excited.
That's on the Umbrella channel.
Yeah.
You can find us on Twitter at Umbrella Press. You can find us on Tumblr at umbrellapress.tumblr.com.
Yeah.
And you can email us at theumbrellapress@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You can do all of that.
Yeah, please do. Send us questions, comments, concerns, ideas for videos or podcasts, whatever you want.
Like, fave, subscribe,
Keep it real.
tell us about your life.
Stop norming those hets. Okay, we'll see you next time, guys.
Wise words here, tragically. We're heterosexual. It's not even true.